Here's a strange thought for you. You haven't chosen what you're going to read today. An algorithm has. It already knows what will catch your eye, what will make you pause, what will make you feel clever, angry, or seen. In a very real way, it's writing to you. It's deciding which stories rise, which fade, and which version of reality feels most like yours. So the question isn't just what are we reading online, it's who's doing the writing now. And maybe a harder question is, when was the last time you shared something that felt true, but you never actually checked it? Maybe a video that confirmed your frustration, a meme that made you laugh because it nailed your point of view, or a post that made you think, oh, exactly. Did you pause, or did you just trust the feeling? That's the trap. We live in a world where truth competes with virality and emotion almost always wins. So let's talk about writing in this lecture, but not the kind that happens in essays or Google Docs. I want to talk about the kind of writing that surrounds you all day long, the kind you scroll through half-conscious before you even get out of bed in the morning, the writing that exists in your feed. Because whether you realize it or not, every TikTok, every reel, every meme you see is a kind of text, a compressed form of rhetoric, and it's very powerful. It's easy to think of writing as something academic or old-fashioned, something that you do for a grade. But the truth is, we're all writing all the time now. We write when we caption a photo, when we comment on a post, when we stitch a video, when we choose what to share and what to ignore. Every click is a small rhetorical act, a decision about meaning, identity, and power. And yet, most of this writing doesn't look like writing at all. It looks like entertainment, culture, or even noise. But that's the trick. The most influential writing today is the kind that hides its own craft. It feels spontaneous, authentic, off the cuff. But behind every viral post, there's a structure, a rhythm, a strategy. There's persuasion happening even when it feels casual. Every time something goes viral, it succeeds because it has nailed one or more of the classic appeals, ethos, pathos, or logos. Ethos, it looks trustworthy, it sounds confident, it feels real. Pathos, it makes you feel something fast and deep before your logic can catch up. And logos, it offers some data, a chart, a screenshot, a fact-shaped object that gives the illusion of reasoning. And all of that is calibrated for its audience, for what that audience already believes, fears, or wants to see. That's why information literacy isn't about memorizing which news outlets are good or bad. It's about learning to recognize when language and imagery and emotion are being used to move you. Because in a digital world, persuasion travels faster than facts ever can. So here's the unsettling part. Algorithms are now the most powerful editors in history. They decide which words and images rise to the top and which disappear. They don't reward truth. They reward engagement. They don't care if something is accurate. They care if it makes you feel something strong enough to keep you on the app for another 30 seconds. So what we see online is not a mirror of reality. It's a mirror of emotion. What's trending isn't necessarily what's true, it's what's reacted to. And that means the writing we encounter daily is filtered through an invisible system that optimizes for outrage, laughter, shock, identity, belonging. The algorithm doesn't just show us what we like, it trains us to like what it shows us. That's where things get dangerous, because when pathos or emotion drives visibility, misinformation doesn't have to hide, it just has to entertain and feel right. A meme with a statistic, a confident voiceover, a logo in the corner, a person who sounds sure of themselves. These are all appeals to ethos or the performance of credibility. They mimic authority the way academic citations do, but online, anyone can perform authority. And that means the responsibility to think critically now falls harder on us, the readers. The old world had gatekeepers, editors, fact-checkers, peer reviewers. The new world has none of that. It's decentralized rhetoric, and we are all both the author and the audience. Think about how easily this plays out. A few years ago, an image of NFL player Michael Bennett holding a burning American flag began circulating online. It looked shocking, it was a perfect snapshot of outrage. People shared it instantly, believing it captured a moment of protest. But the image was fake. Someone had digitally added the flames. It spread not because it was true, but because it felt true. That's pathos overpowering logos, emotion overruling logic. It aligned with people's pre-existing beliefs, confirming what they wanted to be angry about. That's audience targeting in action. And it's evolving fast. In 2022, a deepfake video of President Zelensky appeared online showing him supposedly telling Ukrainian troops to surrender. For a few hours, that clip was everywhere before being debunked. Millions saw it. It was realistic enough to fool viewers because it borrowed all the cues of ethos. The lighting, the tone, the official setting, the steady voice. I'll believe it when I see it doesn't work anymore. Seeing isn't believing. It's being persuaded visually. But misinformation doesn't always arrive as propaganda. Sometimes it arrives as humor. During the height of COVID, countless memes spread false statistics and medical claims that vaccines caused infertility or that only 1% of people survived infection. They worked because they engaged pathos, humor, fear, identity, before logic could intervene. And because the audience was their own peers, they carried the strongest ethos of all, familiarity. We trust what feels close to us. All of these examples reveal how persuasion has changed form. Ethos, pathos, logos haven't disappeared, they've just been rearranged. Online, pathos leads and ethos is often faked and logos comes last, if at all. The digital world is a system built on emotion as currency. Algorithms amplify what stirs feelings, not what fosters understanding. So that means when you scroll, you're not just consuming content, you're participating in a persuasion machine. Every like, every share, every second you hesitate teaches the algorithm which emotional version of the world you prefer. And it gives you more of that. It builds a personal reality for you, one that feels authentic because it's tailored to your emotional responses. But it's not neutral, it's rhetorical engineering. So when I say fast checking, I don't mean opening a fact-checking site. I mean developing a rhetorical reflex, the ability to pause and ask, what appeal is this using on me? Is this ethos, credibility, confidence, authority, pathos, fear, humor, outrage, belonging? Is there any logos at all, or just a costume of it? Who is this audience and what is it designed for? And what emotional response am I being scripted into? Because once you start noticing this design, you start to see the machinery underneath. You see that what looks spontaneous is strategic. What looks grassroots might be orchestrated. And what feels true might only be emotionally engineered to seem true. That's the uncomfortable part, but it's also empowering because once you understand how rhetoric works in the digital age, you can begin to use it responsibly. You can stop being a passive reader of the algorithm and become a critic of it. You can start deciding when to engage and when to step back. The antidote to misinformation isn't cynicism, it's rhetorical awareness. It's remembering that every image, every soundbite, every meme is an argument, and every argument has a target audience. Once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. You start reading differently and you start noticing patterns. You stop being pulled around by emotion alone. Because literacy today isn't about reading books, it's about reading systems that speak to us in emotional language, that shape what we notice, and that train what we believe. So here's my challenge. The next time something on your feed feels too perfect, too confirming, too engaging, too heartwarming, stop for a moment. Think of it as a rhetorical performance. Ask what appeals it's using, ask what emotion it's trying to summon, and why you were chosen as its audience. Because literacy now isn't about protecting yourself from lies, it's about reclaiming your capacity to see clearly in a world designed to keep you scrolling. The better we get at reading those systems, those appeals, the harder it becomes for those systems and the misinformation inside them to read us. So I'll leave you with a simple way to practice that clarity in real time. When you see something online, pause and name the first feeling you notice. Then ask yourself, why was this shown to me? Say the claim in one plain sentence and find the original source plus one independent confirmation. If a number appears, check its denominator, its date, and where the underlying data actually lives. If it's an image or a clip, do a quick reverse image or second angle search and watch once on mute, once with sound. Weigh costumes against proofs. Lab coats, logos, and lower 2/3 are props. Methods, full data sets, and named experts that you can verify are evidence. Set an attention budget. 30 more seconds, save to check later or opt out now, and don't share until at least 2 checks pass. Do these small moves consistently and the algorithm has a much harder time steering you. I hope you found this video helpful, and in the comment section, tell me what you've fallen for online and what sort of habits you now employ to keep you from being manipulated. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check out my other videos on how to spot misinformation, how to do good research, and literary analyses. Be well.